All right, a happy Wednesday. Hopefully, everyone is doing great. I am in Chicago for the pre-draft combine that started on Tuesday. We've got 5-on-5 on Wednesday and 5-on-5 on Thursday. Certainly one of the better events in the NBA. We're about 6 weeks away from the NBA draft. We've got TV on ESPN from 1 to 5 Central Time. Today and Thursday. So we are going to do a little bit of a video on Cleveland, who were eliminated in certainly disappointing fashion. If you are a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, you it's a different feeling than a year ago when you lose in the second round to Boston compared to going 64-18, having the number one seed, the best record in the Eastern Conference throughout probably the whole year. You made a change at head coach. You brought back pretty much the same roster. You made a in-season change that certainly helped during the regular season with DeAndre Hunter, and here you are back in back at home in a disappointing way to lose this thing. And I think that's, if you're Cleveland, you probably don't want to hear it. That's the playoffs for you. What happens in the regular season certainly sometimes doesn't correlate to the playoffs, especially when you have some injuries, whether it be Donovan Mitchell and DeAndre Hunter and Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. Of course, this was not a team that was fully healthy, but in the playoffs, it don't matter. Indiana certainly was the better team in the series, as they showed throughout the series. I think certainly losing at home in a game five was disappointing. Certainly losing a game four on the road where you got your butts whipped was disappointing. How game two ended was disappointing. And now we go into the offseason with a roster that is certainly expensive, and we're going to go into that in a moment. Uh, as I've said before, what sometimes infuriates me is that when a team loses in the second round, we're going to be shouting on the top of our lungs, we need to break this team up. You got to trade Darius Garland. You got to trade Donovan Mitchell. You got to trade Evan Mobley. You got to do all these, or Jared Allen. You got to do all these things. And sometimes you just got to get back on the horse and you got to do it again. I think it's certainly a different situation maybe in Boston. And we'll have a video out if they certainly lose, and we'll have their offseason article out certainly if they lose. It's based on different scenarios. So a little bit about Cleveland. They again enter the offseason. They do not have a first round pick. That pick is going to Phoenix. It was part of the Utah trade, and Utah traded it to Phoenix. They do have 2 seconds, 49 and 58. The 49th pick is from Milwaukee. Key free agents, and we're going to talk about them in a little bit. Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill, Tristan Thompson, Javonte Green. So the bulk of this roster is back. There's only four roster spots that are available. Your starters are back. Your core guys are back. As I said, you basically are going to get back on the horse, and you're going to try to figure out what went wrong. Was it injuries? Was it your defense that was top 10 in the league? Was it your offense that was number 1 in the league? That's where you're going to fix. It's hard for me to see that all of a sudden they're going to make wholesale changes here. Certainly the cost to this group is going to get bigger. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm just looking at my notes here because I don't have a second screen. What's not going to hang over their head is the future of Donovan Mitchell, like we saw last year. As far as is he going to sign an extension? Is the Garland pairing work? What's going to hang over their head is as far as the CBA draconian restrictions that now Cleveland enters the second apron. The DeAndre Hunter trade basically paused the Cavaliers' financial clock this year. They got him under the luxury tax, but it's like kind of taking out like a home equity loan where you get all that money up front, but at the end of the day, you have to pay 20% interest rate there. That might be a little bit high, 20%, but you know what I'm talking about here. The Hunter trade and the Mobley extension and the Donovan Mitchell extension. And remember, Mobley's contract kicks into 30% of the cap. That's an extra $8-9 million. Now puts them in the second apron. They have $221 million in salary. They're $13 million over the second apron. Here are your restrictions. And this is based on post-transactional. If the trade or the transaction leaves you, whatever the number is after the transaction is done, you are not allowed to aggregate contracts. So if you want to go out and try to trade Jared Allen and DeAndre Hunter, let's say $40 million for a $40 million player, you are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to use more than 100% of your traded player exception. What does that mean? That means that you can't take back more money in a trade. Certainly, minimum contracts are different. You can't send out cash in a deal. You can't sign a player who's waived that had a pre-existing salary of $14.1 million. You can your 2033 first will become frozen if you finish this season or next season over the second apron. Those are all the different rules. And I'm going to talk about their draft pick equity because it does impact with the second apron a little bit here as far as what they can trade if they wanted to do something. Those are all the different rules that you are dealing with it. And another thing too, one loophole that's closed in this is that let's say Cleveland, the night of the draft, sends cash in a deal. They want to buy another pick. Probably it's not going to happen. The apron gets triggered for next season. So now you basically have to trade off. You basically have to trade DeAndre Hunter for nothing to get back under the second apron here. So although you're fine right now until June 30th, you have to have an eye on the apron rules as far as for next year. Anything that you do, whether it be aggregating or using more than 100% of trade exception, triggers the apron for 2025-26. We are considered in the offseason right now. Your biggest thing what's going to happen to Cleveland is that there's a chance you might lose Ty Jerome, who was your backup sixth man of the year candidate, had a really good regular season, certainly since January 1st, really good moments in that Miami series. I thought struggled a bit in the Indiana series. It feels like the more minutes Ty Jerome plays, the more minutes he gets exposed. He's perfect in that 15 to 20 minute role coming off the bench. He's not perfect if you're going to ask him to play 25 minutes plus. He is an unrestricted free agent. He has early bird rights. Cleveland could sign him to a contract north of right around $14 million, has to be for a minimum of 2 years. You can't sign him to a 1 year for a $10 million contract and get bird rights the following year. It has to be for at least 2 years. So he's got early bird rights. It will cost you dearly as far as how much 4 for 64 is the most they can give him. If you sign him to a $14 million contract, it will cost you another $80 million towards the luxury tax. I do not see that happening. It basically, the CBA makes you choose who is a priority and who is a luxury. And if Ty Jerome is considered a luxury, then the likelihood he is not going to be back. So that is the guy to keep an eye on as far as from a free agency standpoint. You have the veteran minimum exception if you replace him. Extension candidate to watch, Darius Garland. It's hard for me to see Cleveland extending him. He has 3 years left on his contract. You can extend him for 2 for 128. You have up until October 21st to go out and do that. Other extension candidates, Sam Merrill through June 30th, Dean Wade, Max Strus, DeAndre Hunter as of October 1st. Certainly guard depth is a need. You are allowed to trade your 2031 or 2032. Not both, because remember, you still owe things going out the window. But here's the thing. If we finish the season 25-26 and Cleveland has not traded 2032, okay, that is not in play next year because 2033 now becomes frozen. Can't trade picks in back-to-back years. So if you're going to move to 2032, it's going to be during this year. that is it. All I have for Cleveland right now. Hopefully, everyone has a great day. If we've got losses tonight, we will certainly put out more videos. We will talk soon. Try to post at what I look like. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here.